Hey, good morning. This is Yazuki Wolf, and I do realize that many viewers probably won't be morning time for them, but for me it is, and what a morning it is. It's been about a week now that I've had what you call it, winter vacation, so I haven't had any work for this week. It's in celebration of what they call Oshogatsu in Japan. That's basically the New Year's. So you don't have Christmas off here. We still had work on Christmas, but after that you get time off for Oshogatsu, which is basically like the New Year thing. And I didn't do anything particular special for New Year since usually that's sort of like a holiday that people will stay home with their families and things. And being that I'm living here alone, I just kind of hung out with some friends. Did a Let's Play video on my Japanese channel, and yeah, it's a pretty fun time. But yep, today's the last day, and being that I was on vacation and didn't have a work schedule of when to go into the office or anything, I kind of found that my night owl personality kind of brought my sleep cycle to become ever more night based, and so I began sleeping more and more into the day, and so I'm a little sleepy still right now. I actually just woke up maybe like a half hour ago. So I gave myself a little bit half hour to kind of get my brain functioning so that I could be ready to do this vlog shindig. But yeah, so let's just get to the topic for today. Today we're going to be talking about moe, the style of moe, and how unavoidable it is if you want to do anything in the creative fields in Japan, whether it be manga, anime, or gaming. It's just I'll go a little bit into like my approach or my thinking. See, yeah, I'm still so sleepy. My brain is like the Japanese word is coming up in my head before the English word, and it's coming, and I'm leaving me kind of tongue tied. So excuse me for that. But okay, so like I'm gonna go over a little bit about how I was thinking that I would go about doing things in Japan and how things actually went about, and then the challenge that I had to overcome while I was here. So first off, let's talk about what is moe. Now a lot of times you hear people talk about the manga style or the anime style. Like you'll look on YouTube and you'll see videos about how to draw anime eyes, or how to draw this or that. But I think that's all. I mean, I can understand sort of the thought behind that, but I think it's a little misleading because, well, I mean, this is sort of my opinion in a way. I mean, I think there's still some debate about it, but I don't consider anime to be a style, and I don't consider manga to be a style. I consider them to be mediums, and just how you have like you have movies as a medium, and acrylic paint is a medium, oil painting is a medium. TV is a medium. There's mediums for a creative output, basically, and just how you have like in movies, you'll have certain plots and like story tropes and things that people use often in movies that are kind of specific to that medium, and you may have things in anime and manga that will be kind of reoccurring themes and stuff that are specific to that, but that doesn't necessarily mean that that's the only style. It just has. You have that in movies. You'll have many different styles of movies, many different genres of movies, and the same thing with the anime and manga, and even like with oil painting or acrylic paints or watercolors. Of course, there are certain things that you can look for to kind of identify a water painting as opposed to a oil painting, but that doesn't mean that there's only one style of water painting or only one style of oil painting. And so within the anime or manga world, I believe that there are many styles within that world as well. And I found that when I told you before, I came from sort of more like a fantasy art background with D&D and TSR and stuff like that. But then I also liked Japan. I loved learning Japanese, and I just liked Japan as a culture since I was extremely young, probably about as far back as I remember. So when I first started getting into anime and stuff, like I was generally attracted to like stuff with samurai, like those kind of like old school Japan type stuff. And also, if you think about anime and manga about 10 years ago, it was very different in its stylistic approach as it is today. And when I say anime stylistic approach, I'm talking about the most popular style within it. So like if you look at what was popular like 10 years ago, you have things like Fist in the North Star, Akira, and stuff like that. And here, let me actually like switch over the screen so I can show you my web browser real quick. There we go. Yeah. So just to give you an idea, like, of what I'm talking about, this is some of the like anime and manga that kind of influenced me. So like here you have Paprika. Like this is sort of like the style of how this character looks, and you see how it definitely has a very like Japanimation, like anime type style to it, but it's still, the proportions are fairly similar to what you would learn in an art class of how to do the proportions for a human face. It's just kind of simplified. It kind of has that Zen type feel to it, where it's like how to communicate an expression of a human face with like as little lines as possible, or as little like brushwork as possible, and like details as possible, but still have a very effective like drawing. And this is from Blade of the Immortal. So you can kind of see still here again, it's starting to get a little deformed. Oh, and let me just clarify, when I say deformed, I don't mean that in a negative sense. I think in English, when you say deformed, it has a negative like nuance to it. But in Japan, they generally call things as realistic or deforme, which is a variation of the word deformed. So I'm just gonna say deformed. But like, so, and that's in no way a negative thing. That just means that it's not as realistic. It's kind of exaggerated, basically. So, but it's so there's a little bit of deformation, the deforme going on in here, but it's still fairly similar to like real proportions. You know, like the eyes are maybe a little bit bigger than they would regularly be, but not that big. It's just gives a little emphasis to her eye expressions and so forth. And then you go over to like Vagabond, and this is by Inoue Takehiko Sensei. He's like my favorite manga artist, and this is the story of Miyamoto Musashi, who was a historical samurai who I really liked ever since I was young. I watched like a number of movies with him, and then I read the English translation of the book that he wrote, Goldie no Sho, or the Book of Five Rings. And I think a lot of my love for Japanese culture was kind of influenced by this character, and so I really like this manga. And I may have mentioned this in some of my other videos, but Inoue Takehiko Sensei, he doesn't draw with a pen. He draws with a brush, or I should say he inks with a brush. And I think that's just so awesome. And after I heard that he did that, I tried it out, and I like fell in love with the brush for as an inking instrument. It just I don't know, I won't go too much into that, but it's just kind of taking a look at this. This is the type of style and the type of stuff that I looked at, and I said like, well, when I come to Japan, you know I can't do like the straight up like D&D type style, but you know I like this type of stuff, so maybe I could do something along these lines. And I tried that out, and I would often mention when I brought my manga into places that this is sort of like what I was going for what type of drawings I would want to be doing. And I ran into a lot of I'm not gonna say opposition, but maybe like criticism or difficulty, in that they would generally say like, okay, Inoue Takehiko, he draws like that, but that's art, you know. He's a fully established guy, and he has everyone already knows his name because he's really famous for a manga called Slam Dunk. They made an anime of it too, but so he already is fully established and ready and comfortable in his work. So he can basically do whatever he wants, and they're gonna publish his stuff because he has his name behind him. But me, as a guy who no one knows, just coming into the industry, they're not going to be as open to allowing me to do my own thing. So they said, like, if you want, so you're not at that level where you can just do art like yet. Right now you have to make a product, and there's the companies that are looking for specific things for those products. And that's going to lead into what we're talking about now, which is the moe style, because these examples that I showed you right now, I would not consider to be in the moe style. This is more of a realistic type of style. So what is moe? Well, here's Wikipedia, because we of course know that everything on Wikipedia is 100% correct, but I'll go ahead and read through this and give my sort of input on what it says here. But okay, so moe. I'm not sure how well you're going to be able to read this on the stream, but try your best, and if not, just listen. Moe, which is pronounced moe, is a Japanese slang word. It also is a well-known loan word. So I'm guessing maybe it was loaned from China or something. I'm not quite sure about that. But the word has come to be used to mean one particular kind of adorable, one specific type of cute, mainly applied to fictional characters. Moe does not have one concrete definition, but rather has a variety of meanings. This is sort of why it's kind of hard. It was kind of hard for me to explain what moe was a lot of times. It's kind of like something you just kind of have to experience, sort of like the Matrix type of thing. Like one cannot just tell you what moe is. But let's continue. The term moe can be added onto the end of any personality trait or physical trait to create a new type of moe. According to the Japan Society and Patrick W. Galbraith, I probably mispronounced that, but moving on, it means a rarefied, a euphoric response to fantasy characters or representations of them. Rarefield. A rarefield? Oh, I think that's just like the author like of this article putting in his own comment, a rarefield. Yeah, we'll just skip that part. I think the important part is this definition. A euphoric response to fantasy characters or representations of them. And I think that's a pretty good definition. A euphoric response to fantasy characters or representations of them. So it's the response that you feel when you see a fantasy character and just feel really like amazed by it. But the thing is that that's not the only part of the definition, because I've talked to many different people in Japan, and usually they'll say things like, well, moe, it's different for each person. It all just depends on what elicits that response in you. And so like I would hear that, and I would kind of say like, okay, well, I'm gonna tell you what moe would be for me then. And like I would like show them like I don't know, like for example, when I watch Lord of the Rings and you have the riders of Rohan coming over the mountain to like join in battle against the orcs, you know, and they have like the music is like swelling up and stuff, like that's like a fantasy. Those are fantasy characters in the fantasy world, and I get this feeling in my chest like, oh, like it's just like this euphoric response to that fantasy. And maybe like at the beginning when you have Sauron with the big ass mace, and he just swings it, and like I don't know if was it mace or sword, I don't remember, but he just swings, and like all the soldiers around just go flying across the screen basically, and just seeing that like the power and that like the beauty of that fiction, like and this elicits a response in me. And I would kind of say like, okay, well, so maybe is that can I say that that's moe for me, because that elicits a response for me. But usually they and maybe there's some way that you can argue for that, but most people would be like, no, that's not moe. That's not moe. So it's not just a response to fantasy characters. There's more to it, and the article will go into that, because as we continue reading, one of the most famous instances of moe has been in response to the drama version of A Living Person. One of the most famous instances of moe. Okay, it is a pun derived from a Japanese word that literally means budding, as with a plant that is about to flower, and thus it can also be used to mean budding, as with a pre-adolescent girl. Since this word is also a homonym for burning, pronounced moe, or moe, it's moeder would be the verb for burn, and moe could be like burn. So yeah. Anyways, there's also speculation that the word stems from the burning passion felt for the characters. So yeah, just going into that moe, the pronunciation is the same, but the kanji is different. I'm not sure if you could really see this on your screen, but this is the kanji for moe, and this down here is moe is in the budding, right? And this is the kanji for a burning. I'm pretty sure that's not going to come up very well on your screen, but just trust me. So this is the kanji for burning. So it sounds the same, but the kanji is different. So they are separate words, but since they sound the same, there's some association. But now you can kind of see from these two other points why the Lord of the Rings example doesn't work for moe. First was because of you have the first we have the moe as in burning. That would still be okay, because you get like a burning sensation like when I see the Lord of the Rings and I have that fantasy response in me, right? So that's still okay. But the one above that where it talks about budding, so apparently it's specifically kind of connected to pre-adolescence. to the budding of like a flower. So it's a flower that's not fully bloomed. That's sort of the association there. So you'll find, like you see here on the character on the right, it's a sort of pre-adolescent girl, and so the moe style came from like the cuteness, that specific kind of cuteness and adorableness that you associate with pre-adolescent girls, basically, and those characters in anime and manga and so forth. And I think at first that was just one particular aspect of the characters in animes, and it wasn't necessarily that this character is a moe character. It was just like maybe this character does something really cute, and then well, you feel moe. You might, and it's mostly fictional characters, but like and it's probably mostly with actual two-dimensional characters. But I mean, for a 3D example, you could think of Densha Otoko. I don't know if any of you've seen the drama. It's a drama about an otaku who falls in love with a woman on the train, and you know, a lot of the scenes in that she'll like do something cute, and then they'll be like, oh, moe, you know, because it's really cute or whatever, and or adorable. So I think that's sort of how it was originally seen. But so this go down a little bit. Style of character in video games, anime, manga. Okay, maybe in the origins. Oh no, here we go. Commercial application. That's the next part that's important for our discussion. So moe characters have expanded within the Japanese media market. In 2004, the market for moe media, such as printed media, video and games, was worth 88 billion yen, roughly 1/3 of the estimated 290 billion yen otaku market in Japan. In 2009, Brad Rice, editor-in-chief of Japaninator, I'm not sure how to pronounce that, but you know, he's the editor of this magazine, said that moe has literally become an economic force. More and more products, especially shows, are geared towards include some. I see. This isn't me reading bad. I think this is actually just written weird. Are geared towards include some. I'm gonna just grammar correct this. Are geared towards and often include some moe, or possibly be entirely made up of it, in order to sell better, both as a show and in the ancillary market, where hardcore fans will buy excessive amounts of items related to the character of their desire. It's not as though creators go out with the intention of creating moe works, but there are many steps in the whole process of getting a manga and anime put together and released to the public. So somewhere in there is a conscious decision to include moe. So there's a lot of interesting points there. Like the first one was like in 2004, it being 1/3 of the market, which it may even be more now, I would imagine. But basically the editor of this Japaninator magazine is saying that moe is a economic force, and it's a driving force in the whole like otaku market, where people who make commercial merchandise or products for the otaku market understand that they want to put moe, that by putting moe into their game or into their anime or the character, that's going to allow them to sell more. And this last sentence is pretty interesting. I'm going to read it one more time. It's not as though creators go out with the intention of creating moe works, but there are many steps in the whole process of getting a manga and anime put together and released to the public. So somewhere in there is a conscious decision to include moe. So this confirms a lot of my experiences in Japan, where, like for example, the game that I'm working on right now, that we're going to release probably in Japan for iOS next month, and we already have the board game released we already had the board game released before, but now we're doing the iOS version. But anyways, so my original design for this game was like a fantasy game where you are you're like a wizard. I mean, this is completely different than what it ended up being, but like basically, like we have these wizards who are fighting over these like cards to like gain like immortality, and they have a lot of like familiars, like familiar spirits, and there's like a lot of like fantasy creatures and stuff that they can control, and well, I'm not gonna say control, but that would help them to fight and stuff. So sort of like a Pokemon type of thing, but with actual real fantasy fantasy creatures, like you have like where you'd have elves and fairies and nymphs and dryads and like mermaids and all so it's sort of like this type of Pokemon, like collect them all type of thing, but with actual creatures of mythology. And so that's the sort of the intent. But then as you're going down the pipeline of getting this thing made, you get pressured more and more to make things cute and adorable to get to the moe fans. And it's like, well, we have to put this type of girl in the game because there's otaku that like this type of girl, there's people that like this type of girl, and it became less about the actual like fantasy or like the mythology behind those characters and trying to make like an actual accurate representation of that mythos, and it becomes more and more geared toward trying to include that moe style into your work. And so that's something that comes up probably no matter whatever field you're in, like even in the in manga and other things. I would say that with manga there are ways to get around that maybe, but I that's too complicated for this video, so I'm just gonna continue on. But let's see, what were we saying? Is there anything else in here we want to talk about? Here's unfolded. Okay, so this was also kind of interesting. So, moe became increasingly popular and recognized in the 2000s, invoking a commercial interest in manufacturing and exploiting moe. As this process occurred, moe evolved from being a non-sexual desire to hug, love, and protect to being a sexual sublimated fascination with cuteness. So this is another interesting thing because the moe that I see today, it's not just about the pre-adolescence. It's also like sort of like a sexualized pre-adolescence, which I think a lot of from a foreigner looking at that, it seems really odd and kind of hard to grapple with, because that's just something that we're kind of opposed to generally within Western culture, and I think here there's probably it's not as taboo. So like, for example, when I was in school, well, first I probably should clarify that it seems like there's sort of like this fascination with youth, or this adoration of youth generally in Japan. So like when I was in school, I had classmates who, they're like 20, maybe 19, something like that. So they're still pretty young, so it's kind of justifiable. But they would say things like they wouldn't want to date a girl that's over 16 or something, and it's like I don't know. It would seem kind of weird because you're already like 19. He's like 19, maybe 18. I don't know, but still, it's like that seems kind of like an arbitrary thing. Like, is there really that much a difference between like why can't you, well, anyways, I'm not gonna go too much into that. But then you'd have like things like the Kick-Ass movie. I told one of my Japanese friends who actually was like maybe like 25 or something, I'm not sure, but an older guy, that Kick-Ass 2 was coming out, and I remember a comment that he said something like, "Oh, they kind of it's not as good as the first one because the girl grew up and she's not as young anymore." And it's like I don't know, like for me, like if you look, like I don't remember the exact age, but like Kick-Ass, I think in Kick-Ass 2 she's maybe like 18 or something. I don't know, but anyways, like for me, it doesn't seem like it seems like a very arbitrary, like strange thing to be kind of paying attention to. But it just seems like that's sort of like a fascination here with that youth and that adolescence and stuff, and then that translates over to this moe and this type of style and culture. But apparently, originally, it was not a sexual thing, and I could kind of say this is probably right because I've heard interviews with there was some Japanese guys who quote unquote married their video game like girlfriends. I don't know if you've heard about that before, but like where they'd have like the they have like the video game girlfriend, and then they would have like a marriage ceremony and or whatever. And I've seen interviews with some of these guys who were playing those games and trying to figure out what the fascination with the games were. And a lot of times they would say things that it's not a sexual thing. Like it's about like a pure love of just like liking that character purely, and probably what I was saying, they're like wanting to hug and protect and stuff. So I guess it's kind of like that like an older brother type of a thing. I don't know, but so apparently for a lot of the guys who are into that, it's not necessarily a sexual thing, but I guess as it became more commercialized, it also became more sexualized for some reason. So, but anyways, that's in a nutshell what the definition of moe-ka is. But as I said before, it's like the Matrix. You can't just say what moe is, you have to experience it. So let's take a look at what some examples of what moe might be. So this is what we were showing you what I was showing you before about the type of like anime that I was kind of influenced by, and how the characters are still fairly realistic. And I'm focusing mostly on the female characters here because moe is generally a female type thing. So you can see like this is how the female character is drawn in Blade of the Immortal. This is how the female character looks like in Paprika. You know, there's another one there. And then let's see here, we have like Vagabond. Let's see if we can find the female character here. Where's Otsu? There we go. Yeah. So this isn't the best picture of her, but you can kind of see that her eyes are definitely bigger than normal, but it's still more or less a realistic proportions, well, somewhat realistic proportions, you know. And then we go over to, this is Twitter. I looked up moe, hashtag moe-gazo, which is like moe pictures, and this is what comes up. So you can probably see right off the bat that there's quite a difference in the like approach to the drawings and style. First off, like the color palette is a lot more like pastel and like pinkish and bright, and like I don't know, for me as American, like you look at this and it seems like something that a girl would draw, you know, but a lot of these are drawn by men, and there's nothing wrong with that, but like it's just for me as a guy coming from America, it was kind of hard for me to overcome that sort of embarrassed. I don't want to sound negative because I don't think there's anything necessarily wrong with it. It's just like my sort of preconceptions coming over from America, where for me, I felt kind of like embarrassed if I were to draw something like this, or if I had like a character like this on my phone or something, like I would feel kind of embarrassed, like having people look at that while I'm on the train or something. But I don't know, it doesn't seem like it's really an issue in Japan, so that's probably just my preconceptions. But you can see that their facial features are kind of based off of more adolescent type features. They make the eyes as big as possible, and often like get rid of the nose entirely. And there's also, yeah, you see definitely pre-adolescent, prepubescent type of figures are pretty common. So some of them aren't so adolescent looking, maybe, I don't know, but yeah. So these are like the general style, and then this is oh, I think, hold on a second, I should have another screen somewhere. I think I forgot to bring it over. Where is it? Okay, yeah. So this is a list of some guys like top 5, I think, his top 5 moe characters for 2014, and I wanted to include this one just because they're all sort of in the same position, so it's really easy to see the stylistic similarities between them. So like here's his number 1, who's very much a pre-adolescent young girl, right? And then here she could be older. I don't know. She could be like maybe 16, 20. I don't know. But you could say in terms of the style, you kind of see that first off, like generally, this is what when people in Japan, or when companies in Japan ask for moe, or they want to see moe, this is more or less what they're thinking. This type of style here. You can see that the eyes are very similar, like just in like the way that the lines are drawn and everything, and just the way that the eyebrows are, and the nose is usually reduced to like a little dot, you know, and you have like the type of mouth, open mouth, closed mouth. Like generally any character is going to look more or less the same, or be drawn more or less the same, in terms of like those features. And so this is generally what they're looking for. So I've been trying to, like, for me, I don't know if I want to go like straight out like having like little adolescent girls like sexualized in my art. Like that's not something I really want to do. So I'm trying to just kind of take aspects of these and learn how to draw them for when it's necessary. But I want to find a way to not just completely like copy this, because I mean, for me, I mean, it may be necessary sometimes for some jobs, but I still kind of want to have my own originality to my work, and I don't want to just completely like have it where. See, I guess that's the big thing for me is like I come from more of like an art background, and even if I could draw this perfectly, like I don't know if I'd want to, because like even if both of these are drawn by different artists, like you can't really tell that they're different artists. You know, there's no real individuality to that. I mean, maybe you could find some individuality in like the type of clothes that you have them wear or something, but like the rules are so strict about how you're supposed to draw like the lines for their eyes, or how you're supposed to draw like the like reflections in their eyes and stuff, and their mouths and things, and like the nose, like where like these could be completely different artists, but you'd never really know, because you know it's also so similar. And I could go a little bit into why that is a benefit for a commercial industry. I mean, especially with anime, where you have numerous people working on the same project, it's good to have like an agreed upon like drawing style that everyone draws the same, so that you don't have, so because otherwise it'd be like straight up chaos where everyone's doing their own thing, and it'd be hard to get a project done. So it is very convenient and efficient, I should say, for production of anime and manga. Well, mostly for anime, I'd say, and then maybe for games as well, because when you have lots of people working on the same project, having an agreed upon style allows everyone to kind of merge together very fluidly. And that becomes a challenge because, oh, here, see, this is I think this is Marika or something. I could be saying that wrong, but so this one, you can see it's still a moe style, but I think this artist has this anime has a slightly individual style. You could definitely see the difference between this one and this one. So I mean, that's a little different. So that's kind of interesting. But anyways, what was I saying? Yeah. So let's go on to show you like sort of how I tried to incorporate this into my work, and like sort of the challenge I had in doing that. Give me 1 second to get my next slideshow thingamajobber set up. Okay, got this here, and I should have a picture somewhere. Yeah, there we go. All right, 1 second. So that's sort of the the moe style is in a nutshell. That's sort of what they're looking for. So then you could imagine I came in, and the type of stuff I was doing before when I was still a student, like stuff like this. And so you can kind of see how, like for me, I'm like, oh well, this is kind of really realistic, you know. I'm trying to get like that sense of realism while still having sort of slightly deformed features to kind of like accentuate certain areas of the picture. But you could definitely see how this is completely different than what I was just showing you a second ago with like the popular Japanese style, which is the moe style, which is probably more than a third of their market. And so, and that's why I mentioned last week when I was going into a lot of interviews, people would look at my drawings like this and be like, "Oh wow, that's so realistic. That'd be really good if we were doing like doing something for a foreign company or something." And like you're probably really good at Desan, and you have a really strong like they'd say a lot of good things about it. But then at the end of it, it'd be like, but unfortunately, in order for us to like we generally need to have the moe style. You know, you need to have more. That's the type of product that we're selling, so we don't really have a place for you. So that had been a real challenge for me. I mean, because seriously, this is the type of stuff I used to be drawing a lot, and I still want to do some more stuff like this. But what I'm trying to do now is trying to incorporate a little bit more of the Japanese style as well. But the first challenge. So while I was a student, I was just trying to incorporate Japanese style and into my work to kind of make a completely individualistic or original style that's like a combination of both my background in America and my background in Japan, to have like a merged style that's individual and unique. Because coming from the art background, that's what you're going for as an illustrator. You're trying to make your own unique style. That's a really big thing. But when you're that's when you're an illustrator and you're selling your own name. But when you're working for a company and you're working within a company like a gaming company or something, or an anime production, or like a manga magazine or something, then it's a little different, because now you're not your own individual artist. You're part of a bigger machine. So yeah, they need you to be able to produce a certain product. And so my challenge after getting into work was to figure out a way to do the style that they were looking for, because that's what I mean. It's great that I could do these, but they couldn't use these types of drawings. So let's see here. I feel like this one's supposed to come up later in the show. Is this out of order? Maybe, but no, we'll just go with it. So this is Pyra. This is probably one of my first efforts to try to kind of incorporate that Japanese style, like a little bit of moe, that type of style, into my regular type of drawing. And so this is a character that I did for Archetype. I don't think she actually even she probably didn't even make it into the final game. We may resurrect her eventually, but right now I think she just shows up in the instruction manual as part of the backstory. But like generally, originally we were going to make it where there were heroes in the game. Like before, I was talking about how you had like wizards and like magic users who had the familiars with them. Eventually, they got rid of the heroes and they just made it all just the fantasy characters. So there's no actually human characters in the game anymore. But so this is supposed to be like a fire mage girl. And now looking back at this, I think I still like this. There's definitely some issues with the line work, because like you can kind of see here, these lines here are kind of messy, and that's something that I would be kind of like that they would keep picking on me a lot, as in a lot of the reviews. And when I was first doing it, I was like, what's it really matter? I mean, it's just like there's just like this little line here. Like no one's gonna care about that when you're looking like this far apart or this far away from when you're looking at it full screen. You're not gonna pay attention to that stuff. But the truth is, you can kind of see the difference. I think it's kind of like training your eye for it. Like coming from art in America, that's not something we really pay attention to. So like you may not be able to see the difference, but once you kind of like experience a lot more of like this kind of art they have in Japan and what they're looking for here, you definitely do start seeing the difference. So like if I could kind of see how this kind of the line work there doesn't really look that good. It probably would need some brush up. But then in terms of like her face, I tried to put a little bit of that like moe type of characteristics into it, but I still wanted to have my own originality. So she still has a nose, like her nose is not a dot like the other ones, and she still has lips and everything. Because for me, like I don't know, like that's just where I came. I came from a drawing background where I drew noses, I drew like mouths and stuff. So I wasn't ready to just like draw like just like a little line as her mouth or just a dot as her nose. And like for me, I still kind of like this, but a lot of the people, when I showed this to people at work, they're like, she's not really cute, and she's not cute, or like she's not. I don't know. Like I don't think I ever really got a compliment for this, so I don't know if it really went over that well. I mean, I got an okay like for the review. It was like she passed through the review process, but I think part of that is that when I was first starting out, I think my boss was more forgiving of my work, and he became stricter as time went on. So, but personally, looking back at this, I still kind of like it because I feel like it still has my style a little bit in there while still incorporating some of the Japanese style. But so now this is when stuff started getting tougher, because it kept coming up in reviews that my characters were not cute enough, and so they were drawing the pre-evolved Minotaur, and this is the drawing for him. The initial drawing I made for him, And this time I'm trying to pay attention to my line work because that was an issue before. And you could probably see here that compared to this line work is a lot cleaner. And it's like I like how it's like really like vector almost type based, where it feels like it's more three-dimensional. I think it doesn't have that, it's not flattened by those lines. But the funny thing is that after drawing this, actually, they decided they ended up wanting me to put thicker lines into it because the other artists had thicker lines, so I had to like make it fix to that. So even though I liked how the line work is here, I ended up having to actually go over it with these like thick lines here, which I guess isn't that bad, but I still kind of like the effect of the original one better. But so that was the first thing, and then the second thing is that so this is a Minotaur. It's supposed to be like a tank character, like a really tough character. So I know that it's Japan, so I'm supposed to make it kind of cutie. So I try to make it a little cute, but I still wanted him to be look fairly tough. But in the review, it's like, well, he's not cute enough. He's not cute enough. So I think I redrew him like 3 or 4 times, trying to get him cute enough for the review. I mean, to pass the review, and eventually his face turned like this. So that was the final one that made it through. So I don't know. So that was like the beginning of me having to struggle with this problem of how to make things cute, and particularly if it's a female character, how to make them moe or more like moe like. So there's the final guy, and then this is his evolve form. Luckily, with the evolve form, I didn't have to make him cute because he's a freaking huge like Minotaur guy. So that I got through one pass and no issues with the review. And after that, I started to find that I actually like doing creatures a little bit more because I have more freedom to kind of like do my own type of thing when I'm doing creatures. There's not necessarily as many defined rules about how you're supposed to draw them when you're talking about like female characters. They're very strict about how you draw them. This is a failed attempt to make the guy cute. Yeah, this didn't go over very well. But okay, so now here's the next example of some of the issues I was struggling with in my first like year as within the gaming company. So this was this first initial sketch for this like sort of female demon like creature that would be a enemy in our board game. And so this is how I originally sketched it, and you can see how I really like paying attention to like the dimensions of the anatomy, and actually trying to like make sure that everything fits together. So I'm not just drawing lines. I'm actually like saying, okay, so let's get the structure of the rib cage, and then how is that rib cage gonna connect to like the lower anatomy, and then how are like what and then you have like the cylinders for the legs and everything. So I spent a lot of time like getting all those structures set up for her anatomy and everything. And then we gave that to the lead like design guy, and he drew over it like this and said like so apparently this is how he wanted me to fix it. And I remember getting this back that day. I'm like, what like I don't know, like it seemed like I did all this work to try to like make sure that everything's all connected, everything's all like the structure's all there, and then it's just like kind of like lines drawn over, and it feels so like two-dimensional to me now, like looking at this compared to that. He made it bigger. I mean, I could see making it bigger as being a plus. He also like changed the angle of it a little bit, but then I was just like I don't know, it felt like I felt like definitely like there's definitely a different approach to the way that I'm doing things and the way that like the company is doing things. And I was like, okay, well, I'll try to run with this. And like, see, another big issue was like the head. You can see how I have all like the proportions measured out for her face here, and I have like her eyes like within like eye sockets within like a skull and everything. But then after the editing, I guess it kind of like changed the eyes to be more of like an anime type of proportion, and like you could kind of see how, maybe you can't tell from right now, but like the eyes, they aren't really contained within those eye sockets anymore. It's kind of just like they're just eyes within the field of this head area. So I I mean that may have looked a little weird to me, but I'm trying to incorporate their style, so I just went ahead with it, and this is how my line art worked. It worked out for it, and I think it's pretty. I kind of like the line art, but you can see how like this eye is kind of traveling too far to the right now, and you don't really have the roundness of her head anymore. And that became an issue because then when we had the review, we're just move it forward a little bit. This is how it looks after it was colored. And I'm trying to get like sort of a subdued colored theme to this because it's part of the God deck for our for the board game. So that particular deck had this kind of subdued color type of theme to it with strong inking lines and so forth. But yeah, so when my boss saw that there was an issue with it, the head did not look round, and I think a lot of that is because I mean I could try just blaming it on the design guy like messing up my original sketch, but really what it was is that it was a failure for me to incorporate to be able to incorporate those like moe, like Japanese moe type style characteristics into a three-dimensional form. Like I just kind of followed what he did, but like I didn't really make adjustments to make sure that it still looked 3D. And I think has been a bit of a challenge because the moes, the illustrations you see in anime and things, they're generally very two-dimensional in their approach. They try to focus more on line art than on forms, so a lot of them are fairly 2D, but you still have to think of those 2D things within a 3D space. And so a lot of the challenge for me to kind of incorporate that is trying to figure out how to get these 2D, what to me look as just like 2D like 2D line work to actually work within like a 3D a three-dimensional skull or whatnot. And especially it's probably even more pronounced with me because of the body and other parts being more structured than when I put those I'm gonna say like maybe like cartoon like features onto the head. Like it's hard to actually get them to actually look like they're part of the rest of the picture. So that's something that I started working out after that. And the other issue with this, which is something that kind of comes up somewhat often, is the same thing, that she's not cute. So like I'm thinking, well, she's a freaking like demon from hell, like she's really not supposed to be cute, but no, she has to be cute. And the other thing I think is said that she wasn't sexy enough, and I'm like, well, she's like I don't know, she's not really wearing a whole lot of armor there, so I thought that would be enough, but no. And I know there's a lot of people that like have objections to like bikini armor and stuff like that. I don't really mind that so much. I think that there is that's part of fantasy, you know. Sometimes like when you're looking at fantasy, when you're looking at like mythology, like the gods and goddesses, they're always kind of meant to be like the ideal of like they're always kind of idealized and often like even sexualized and things. I don't think there's necessarily anything wrong with that, but it is just kind of funny how that seems to come up a lot, especially when you're working commercially, like to try to make them more sexually appealing and things like that, and cute, which is kind of weird. But anyways, so yeah, so that was that one. And so my boss never was really particularly happy with this one, but we didn't have much time, so I think this actually got into the final game. But we had the plans to redraw it, and I guess that just never happened. But here's that. So this is me doing more creature work. This is more also for the God deck with the strong dark lines and stuff. And this is fun because it's not a female character, so there's no real rules about how to draw it. So it's just like, okay, I could just play around and mess with having a fun character. Now this is one of the this is another this is the pre-evolved fairy character. And so this is when I'm starting to figure out how to do the moe style and everything. And this was drawn mostly by the other artist, so I can't take too much credit for this one. Like I did the initial sketch, and then he kind of fixed up my face, the face and stuff to make it more like that moe style. And you can see what, like, similar to what we were showing you before, you have like the very specific type of lines for the eyes and like the irises and things, and you have the one dot for the nose with like the like cartoon type style mouth and stuff. No lips really or anything like that. So like so yeah, so I kind of like, this is mostly him helping me out with this, but then I kind of took what I learned from this to work on the actually evolved form. And so this is pretty much all me. But just taking what I had learned from him helping me with the pre-evolved one. And so in the future, I kind of like started focusing more on the adult, because I guess the way that we had it set up is that when they're pre-evolved, the female characters at least, they would be younger when they're pre-evolved, and it's more like a cutesy, like chibi type character. And then when they become evolved, then they're more like a matured like adult girl type thing. I don't know, but so this I kind of took a lot of that, and I put like, these are like sort of the anime type moe type style eyes, but I'm still trying to keep the lips, you know, even though like the line art is the same, where it just has like the sort of cartoon type line art. I still, when I actually color it, I put the actual lips in there, and I actually put a nose in there, because it's just something like, it's kind of like a personal thing for me that I don't want to completely get rid of the nose. It just seems too cartoony to me. It's not something that I particularly care for. I'm sure that other people enjoy that type of style, but for me, I kind of, as long as I can still get away with actually drawing noses, I think I still will. I think this looks a little weird that her nose is so small, and I think I start kind of adjusting that in future works. But yeah, so I'm starting to get a hang a little bit of this style at this point, and this review went a lot better. Also, the whole thing about making her like sexier and stuff like that. I started, like, I think another issue is my boss wanted me to learn how to draw skin better, because I guess the original one, like with this girl, like her skin is just like a flat skin color. So he wanted to put more color, like more color into the skin and stuff. So I think I'm starting to do that here. And then, so this is the Dryad, the pre-evolved, and yeah, this is still like I'm starting to kind of get the hang of it. You can see now that her eyes actually fit into like a skull. Like there's actually that three-dimensionality to it a little bit more. And I think part of the issue of that not working out before is that when you actually do the moe style, the position of the eyes changes. And I think before I was just trying to take like a regular head and just make the eyes bigger. But when you really look into it, the eyes actually, they kind of change position a bit. And the also another thing is that there's a lot more space between like where the head would end and where the hair ends. Like usually when I was drawing like more of a realistic style, like there wouldn't be a whole lot of the hair would basically come directly from where the line is for the head. It's really hard to explain. I'll have to like actually do this while drawing in another video maybe. But you have to give like a little bit extra space for the hair. Like the hair takes up a little bit more space than usual, I guess is what I'm trying to say. And so to kind of like get the right effect. And so then this is the adult Dryad, and this is mostly in response to my boss like feeling like he was like, there's like all the characters aren't sexy enough. Like I think we had some cute characters because the other artists did like more cutesy type stuff, but my boss wanted to have like one, like at least like one like really sexy character. So that's sort of what happened with the Dryad, and I really like this girl actually. I think in general I just like Dryads as a mythological character, as a mythological creature, I guess. I like the whole mythos of Dryads, and then this one I think it was because I was also starting to get more comfortable with how to do this type of style, and I was starting to have a little bit more freedom. Like where before people were kind of like looking over my shoulder all the time and like, does this guy really know what he's doing? Like like what's he gonna come up with next? You know, like they're kind of like trying to make sure that I'm not like fucking it up. But at this point, I already had gotten through enough reviews without issues that people were kind of like saying, okay, he kind of knows what he's doing now. So, and this one, even now, like my boss, like he generally he tries to like put this in a lot of the advertisements and stuff. And I know that some people are going to have some issues with the sensuality of it. And actually, in the English release in the American release of the board game, I put more feathers and stuff on her to kind of like cover her up more. But like I don't know, I guess that's a discussion for another time. But the whole like sensuality and like sexualization of characters or whatever. But I personally don't have a huge issue with it because I don't see sexualization or sensuality in itself as being a bad thing. I think that it's a very normal part of human nature and something that's been explored in art for centuries. So yeah, but that's a discussion for another day. So this is kind of going into what I was doing behind the scenes. So that was just showing you the actual art that I was handing in. But this is what I was doing behind the scenes to kind of change that art. This is, let's see here. So this is, I was doing a tutorial on skin tones, and also just trying to like practice with a sort of like moe type proportions for the skin tones as well. And so yeah, this is a response to what I was saying before about my boss feeling that I needed to have better skin tone work, especially for the to get that like sensuality within characters and things. So that was working on that, and then every day I would do these sketches from posemaniac.com. It's a really great site. I highly recommend it. I think I say that every time I mention it, but yeah, you go there and it gives you a pose like every 30 seconds or 90 seconds. You can set it how you want, and then I would just like draw those. And then I also was doing some tutorials online. Like this is from Fezda, and then this year, then I'd also try to like do some mosha. Mosha, what would you say that in English? It's like looking at some actual other artists' work and trying to like learn from their style. So this is me trying to learn how to get that a little bit more of that anime type style. And I was trying to pick out illustrations that were Japanese and definitely had like that sort of moe type of feel to it, but still what you call it, more representative of stuff that I would like to do myself. Like for example, let me like switch back to the browser real quick. All right. So like a second, we're looking at these moe things here. I think there was something near the bottom here somewhere. Yeah. So like something like this. Like this is it's still within that moe category, but you can see that the proportions are a little bit more realistic. You have a little bit more of what could be considered our actual nose with actual lips and stuff. So I'm like, okay, so I have to do this moe style. Okay, that I have to kind of incorporate into my work in order to be marketable here. That's okay, but I still kind of want to have something that I would enjoy to draw. Like I don't want to like I'm not knocking this, but this isn't something that I would see myself really drawing. You know, it's just too cartoonish for me. It's not really the type of style that I really enjoy doing. So I was looking on like Pixiv, that's sort of like the Japanese version of DeviantArt, and I was trying to find a lot of artists that definitely had that moe type style to them. Like even this, like I think I would be cool drawing something like this too. Like I don't know, it has that moe type of style to it, but it still has some of the sensibilities that I wanted to kind of improve in my own artwork, and not just like completely like do something completely opposite of what I would regularly like to do, you know. So those are the type of things that I would be like I was trying to learn from during that time. Going back to the pictures, which one is it? This one? Yeah. All right. So like here I am just like kind of looking out for characters, and I never really spent more than like maybe 20 minutes on each of these, but just kind of like trying to get them down and doing more like little tutorials online too to kind of work on backgrounds and things like that. And then here we are actually plotting out the proportions for the moe characters, because I tried getting a bunch of books about it, but it seemed like the books were like they weren't detailed enough about what the style actually was. Maybe it's because I'm in Japan and they kind of just assume that you know, so they don't like tell you a lot of the details. But like a lot of times it'd be like, okay, you just draw a line in the middle and then draw the eyes somewhere around there, and then have the nose be somewhere around here. It's like it gives you the very basics, but it's so basic that if you just follow those directions, it's still not going to look like that, like the actual moe style. It's still going to, how do I say, there's a lot, there's this, I have to figure out a word to describe this symptom, but there's a lot of times when a person outside of Japan draws in sort of like moe type style, but people in Japan can tell right off the bat that a foreigner drew it. They can tell that it's not drawn by a Japanese person, and it's really hard to describe what it is about it. I think a lot of it is like the way that you draw the lines and sort of like the exact size of the eyes and things like. There's just really small details, but like I'm trying as hard as I can to make it where like I can draw something and they're not going to know that it's not a Japanese person drawing it. And I think a lot of the times that you can still kind of tell because my drawings have noses and the other person's drawings in my work don't have noses. So that's a pretty simple tell. But I see other Japanese artists who draw noses too. So I'm trying to like kind of figure out how they do it and how they can get away with it so that I can kind of get away with it too. But yeah, so this is me actually getting like to the down and gritty of it, of like measuring all these differences. I would actually get a lot of different characters all like with their face straight on and like just trace over them and then measure out how things were like proportioned, and tried to get like a general rule for myself of how the proportions work, because it seemed like a lot of the times the book that tells you how to draw would say one thing, but then you look at like actual drawings and they aren't really following those rules necessarily. So it's like so I don't know, it was a lot of like just research on my own. And here, so I had three different heads that I was kind of debating about which one worked the best for the style. And I think I put this on like Facebook or Twitter or something and had people vote for which one. I don't actually remember which one won, but yeah. Here we are working a little bit more onto this, and this is me checking out. So I was showing you before like the kind of anime that I was used to, this sort of like stuff from like Vagabond or Blade of the Immortal or Ghost in the Shell. Like these are generally the proportions that you see in those, and this is what I was generally shooting for. And I think I actually might even try to shoot more for this now too. But I also had to kind of overcome the hurdle of being able to draw this style as well. So I guess one thing I should probably clarify is that was in no way I was in no way deciding that I was just going to give up the type of art I've always done and just do moe-ka instead. No, it was more like that. This was sort of a step in my learning process that I had to learn how to do this style. And then probably after I got it down, then I could move on to kind of evolving it into something that's more unique to me. And that's sort of at the stage I'm at right now of trying to evolve that style and mix it with like my past backgrounds. Because if I'm sorry this is getting long, but I think this is semi-important to mention that being that a foreigner living in Japan working in this industry, if I did everything exactly like a Japanese person, right, a person living here, and I could draw the exact same stuff and no one could even tell that it's me, yeah, that would maybe marketable. But at the same time, it's like there's already hundreds and thousands of Japanese artists who can do that. So it's not really it doesn't make me extremely valuable as an artist. But then oppositely, if I can just do the American style or like the Western style, but I can't do the Japanese style, that's great, but I'm not marketable here. So that's not very valuable as an artist. So my goal is to take both of those styles and to make a style that is completely me, that only I can do, that will show the combination of those two backgrounds. And so that's my ultimate goal. But in order to reach that goal, since I had to kind of learn the moe style and kind of get that down. So this is my process of doing that. And here I'm looking at the style that I was used to and like comparing that to this moe style and trying to figure out what exactly are the differences here. Because it's obviously not just that I just have to draw an anime style, because if it was just about drawing an anime style, this would be okay, you know? But it's about finding out those differences and trying to work with them. But so like you can see some of the differences are like, first off, the eyes, the position changes a bit. They drop lower. They drop a bit lower. The kind of shape of the eyebrows are different, and there's more space in between in between the eyebrows and the actual eyes. Um, Also, the jaw, the position of the jaw is different. Generally, I think in more realistic styles, you'll have the jaw line up with the is it the brim of the mouth? I'm not really sure, but like it lines up with the mouth. While in like more of the moe style, like in like K-On! And like and the shows like that, it seems to like drop a little bit below the mouth. Also, there's things about the angle of how sharp the angle is here and so forth, and also the position of the ears. The ears actually they drop lower than they should. So that was a thing I was running into a lot, where like I was, I've been trained like about the position of the ears from like actual classical drawing, and I would always kind of make sure that they're in the right position. But then when when you're drawing in this style, that actually looks odd a lot of the time to have them so you have to kind of learn to kind of like to kind of ignore some of the things you learned before and to kind of like adjust them for this particular style. And this is the thing I was talking about before about the space in between like the end of the head and the hair. Like a lot of the times, probably why my initial drawings they didn't look round enough is because I would have the hair actually start here and like go down around here, and so it would look like there's just this big face like coming out of like a little bit of hair, when you kind of have to overcompensate by having the hair go up and around bigger. So I think that was another thing I kind of noticed was an issue there. Also, of course, like the width of the throat and neck and things like that. So yeah, that was me working on that, and then here I'm trying to try out in different angles. This is not a very good attempt. This definitely has a little bit of what I was talking about before, where you can have you can have it drawn and according to the rules as much as you can, but it's still, you can tell that it's not a Japanese person drawing it, because it's something probably about like the weight of the lines and things. But like this definitely looks like a foreigner drawn type of thing. So I kind of redrew this and I drew it down here, and I think this is a bit better. One thing that I think I noticed, especially in the 3/4 view, that that was a kind of big in getting this style down, is that the position of the bottom of the chin, they tend to exaggerate how far in it comes. Like I think if you, I don't have it here, but I had one where I was like comparing a realistic dimensioned realistically dimensioned head with a deforme style character's head, and realistically, when you turn to a 3/4 view, your chin is still pretty aligned with like the middle of your eyes and stuff. So like realistically, like I think the chin should actually be like more over here, but the when you look at the art for these drawings, they almost always bring it in like extra far into this side. So like you kind of have to like, exaggerate that. So you can kind of see my middle line here where I kind of come in and around, and then here's here's like in between the eyes, then it comes up to the nose, and then from there I kind of like pull it in like right away, like really deep. So like I think originally when I was trying to draw these, I would kind of draw the mouth directly underneath the nose. Like this would be I put the middle of the mouth here, and then I would just like shorten this side and have this side elongated because of perspective, and then I would draw the chin underneath that. But it would always look kind of I'm not gonna say not necessarily weird, but not cute, or not. It looks kind of ugly, I guess, with the rest of the proportions. So, in order to get that actual proportions that you're used to seeing within the deforme style, you have to like kind of exaggerate that. And I still haven't figured out the exact rule for that, but it's just something you just kind of have to pay attention to and look at other illustrations and things like that. But yep, so that was that. And then here we are incorporating, this is Clip Studio, has this character that you could bring up. I don't use her that much just because it's a three-dimensional character, and it kind of like makes the document kind of heavy, and it takes a bit of time to position her and stuff. But for my initial studies, I was kind of trying to see how this character changes when you put them into different angles and stuff, and that was kind of helping me kind of figure out how to take these proportions and move them to different angles. So there's me just trying to work on work on that and measuring all these things as I go. And so like, just to go a little bit into this, generally it seems like you split the head into 4 pieces, so 1, 2, 3, 4. And the way I was doing this is I was drawing a line through the middle here, and then like so that in the middle of this is the initial circle, and that'd be where I put the eyebrows, and then I would have the 4 parts. And I kind of adjusted this now to a little bit simpler of a method, but yeah, generally you have 4 parts, and the eyes are gonna fall like the first part is all just is usually gonna be hair, and then the next part underneath that's gonna be like the the forehead, which the eyebrows kind of fall into the middle of, because you don't really, in this style, like the eyebrows seem to just like have no real limits to how far up and down they can go. You don't really have that sort of like eye socket type of thing going on very much. Also, then the next area is where you start the eyes. I try not to make them overly big. Like this character, I think her eyes are too big. I just found that in my experience, when I tried to draw them that big, they didn't look very good. So I had them. They're fairly big, but not so big that they come to the end of this. I think that it's good to have some space here, because otherwise it doesn't really look 3-dimensional anymore. Then at the bottom of that section, we have the nose here, and then you have the final section where you have the mouth inside there. And if necessary, or if requested, maybe I could go into more details about how this works later, but that's a little bit more too in-depth for this video. So moving on. So here's more daily practices, and this is me trying to like work out like a little bit more of what I'm gonna start doing for my own style, where I don't really like dealing with line work. So I wanted to kind of have like the same kind of feel to it as having that really like remember with the Minotaur that we had like a while ago, the first one that I did, where it had like really thin line work that made it look kind of like vector based. Like I wanted to have that same effect, but I wanted to figure out how to do that without actually inking, without doing any inking. And I think I talked about it a little bit on my last video, so you could look there for more, and I'll probably talk about it more in the future. But so this is me trying to get that effect. So this is the first one I did with the inking, and this is actually pretty bad. But you know, this is still when I'm still trying to learn this style. And then I kind of like corrected it here, and yeah, that's like original character and stuff. And let's see here, yeah. So then after doing all that work, these are sort of like my final illustrations I started doing. This is an illustration for the God deck, once again with like the very dark line work with somewhat subdued color. But we started finding that it's better to have like thicker color, even though the original concept was to do subdued color. It just it felt better to have somewhat stronger colors into it. So and I don't know. I don't know if I'm fully happy with the way these eyes look, but for the most part, I think this is definitely quite an improvement from the early stuff I was doing. And then I really like this. May be like one of my favorite like faces that I did for one of these like deformity type characters. This is the card Chikara, or Strength, which is one of the tarot cards that we did for the Arcana deck. So I really enjoyed doing this one. Another thing I started like messing with, which I really like, is like these when you're doing like the illustration here, a lot of times you do like a sort of like a cell shading technique, because in Japan you have atsunuri, which is like really like thick like drawings, like what you call it, thick painting, but then you also have like a cell shading thing, which is more what you have in anime. So what I was doing here is I was following the rules of how to doing cell shading, where like each actual area is kind of is like cell shaded, but I did it so specifically and put enough gradations where that it looks like atsunuri. So it's like combining the two styles, and I kind of liked how it ended up looking, where it has like sort of that 3-dimensionality of it while still actually following the rules of the 2D anime cell shading type technique. But yeah, so that's Chikara, and then this is one of the last ones I did. This is one of the last illustrations I did for the God deck. This is, I think, time slow. So this is where she slows time. Once again, this was another one with the strong dark line work and everything. And so I don't know, you can kind of see, hopefully you can see the difference between like something like this, and then going back to like what I was doing at the beginning. Yeah, compared to this girl. So I'm hoping you can see the difference between that. Um, is there a way for me to put both of these up at once? I'm sure there is. Give me a second. Maybe not. Huh. Yeah, maybe I could do something like this though. Hold on. Let's see here. What if I put this down here? There we go. Then put this over here. Okay. Now I just have to share that screen. All right, 1 second. Yeah, so there you go. So now that way you kind of see like the difference between. So this is when I first came into the company, and this is they were basically saying like, oh, she's not cute enough. She doesn't have the three-dimensionality to it. Your line work's no good and stuff like that. And this is after I kind of started getting the hang of it, you know. And this girl's still not perfect, but she's getting there. And as you can see, I'm still drawing her nose. I'm just making it less and less obvious, and I'm still drawing lips and everything, but I'm still making it so that it still fits within that moe type of classification. So that was my big challenge of overcoming the issue of incorporating moe into my work to become marketable within the Japanese marketplace. And that's been a much longer video than I was originally expecting for it to be. But thank you so much for everyone who stuck around to the end, and I'll see you again next week. Yoroshiku.